Many people don't know this, but last month there was an election recount held in the state of Massachusetts. And after the recount was over, when all the dust had settled, the election result was actually flipped. The outcome went from a Republican winner to a Democrat winner by just a single vote. You see, during the midterm elections, there was a state-level race in a redrawn Massachusetts district. For your reference, it's called the North Shore District. It's a coastal region located a little bit north of Boston and a little bit south of New Hampshire. And initially, when the results were all tallied up, the Republican candidate was certified as the official winner. Mr. Lenny Mira, who is both the Republican candidate as well as the incumbent in the district before the district was redrawn, he officially won the race by 10 votes, which was a super slim margin given the fact that in that particular race there was a total of 24,155 votes cast. So a victory of just 10 votes represented only a 0.04% margin, which was legally within the threshold that allows for an election recount, which in this particular case, the Democrat requested. Ms. Kristen Kasner, the Democrat candidate in this particular race, she filed a petition to have a hand recount, which was eventually granted by the Massachusetts Secretary of State. And wouldn't you believe it, after the recount, the 10-vote margin of victory for the Republican was eroded away. And instead, the Democrat candidate wound up being certified as the new winner by a new margin of just a single vote. She was able to find exactly the number of votes that she needed. And by the way, just as a super quick aside, the only vote that I need is for you to vote with your finger and smash both those like and subscribe buttons so this video can be shared out to ever more people via the YouTube algorithm. Now, getting back to the actual specific details of this election flip, according to the official data, which was handed over to the Secretary of State's office, Ms. Kasner picked up a total of 19 additional votes. If we look at a map, these votes break down as follows: 10 votes in Ipswich, 4 in Rowley, 3 in Topsfield, 1 in Newbury, and 1 vote in Georgetown. Meanwhile, as a result of the recount, the Republican candidate added an extra 5 votes to his tally in Ipswich, 3 extra votes in Topsfield, 1 extra vote in Newbury, but he lost a vote in Rowley. Meaning that when all the dust was settled, the result of the recount was that the Democrat candidate scored an additional 19 votes, whereas the Republican candidate netted an additional 9 votes. And when these new results were laid over top the previous tally, the Democrat came out victorious by exactly the 1 vote that she needed. Following the recount, Ms. Kristen Kasner, the new Democrat winner, she went on to CBS News and said that she does not believe that anything suspicious took place with regards to the recount. Here's specifically what she said, quote, "The recount was really just to ensure that, between humans and machines, we really caught every vote that was counted. We thank the tremendous outpouring of people that really got involved and mobilized to go through this process this weekend. It's really a true test of democracy." On the flip side, however, the deposed Republican, who had his supposed victory snatched away in the recount, he told the local news outlet, the Boston Globe, that he is challenging the new results. Here's specifically what he said, quote, "Some ballots were filled out in pencil. Some were filled out with different colored ink. Some had stray marks. Some had a name written in the write-in and then an oval filled out as well." And indeed, Mr. Lenny Mira challenged the results of the new recount, of the new tally. Here's a short timeline showing how his challenge has been going thus far. After the recount, on December 14th, the Governor's Council in Massachusetts certified Ms. Kasner, the Democrat, as the official winner. Then, on December 21st, Mr. Mira filed for an injunction against having Ms. Kasner sworn in until a judicial review of the ballots was conducted. However, the Superior Court dismissed his motion. Mr. Mira then refiled with the Massachusetts Appeals Court. However, at the appeals level, his motion was again denied. He then appealed to the state Supreme Court, the Massachusetts State Supreme Court, which just 2 days ago, on January the 4th, also denied his request. However, despite what's happening in the courts, the matter is not yet settled. That's because the Massachusetts Speaker of the House, Mr. Ron Mariano, he decided to postpone the swearing in of Ms. Kasner until a House committee reviewed the ballots. Essentially, what the Massachusetts House of Representatives is going to do before they decide who to actually swear in is to set up a committee consisting of 2 Democrats and 1 Republican to canvass the election results. And until their canvass is concluded, the true winner of the race remains in limbo. And the reason that the legislature can do this, despite what's happening in the courts, is because according to the state constitution, specifically Article 10, Chapter 1, Subsection 3, quote, "The House of Representatives shall be the judge of the returns, elections, and qualifications of its own members as pointed out in the Constitution." And so, a special committee will be set up to examine the election results as well as the ballots that wound up coming back. Now, as you can imagine, Mr. Mira, who's again the Republican candidate, was rather satisfied with this development, especially given the lack of success that he had within the court system. Here was a statement that he released shortly after the decision by the House of Representatives to open up an investigation was made. Quote, "We are grateful to Speaker Mariano for giving us the opportunity to have a proper investigation into the contested ballots and general inconsistencies during the recount process. We trust that a thorough review of the contested items will be a productive process and serve the chief public interest in our democracy to determine the will of the voters. We look forward to cooperating with the committee and having our quote-unquote day in court." Now, interestingly enough, because the election has not yet been fully resolved, Mr. Mira is continuing to represent the district during this interim process. That's because, according to the Massachusetts state constitution, the incumbent in a given district will continue to be that district's representative until a successor is officially chosen. And so, given the fact that the election has not truly been resolved and that therefore a successor has not been chosen, Mr. Mira, who is the incumbent, even though technically it's a redrawn district, but he's still the person who used to represent a portion of the old district, well, he will continue to play that role until a new result is decided upon. Meaning that while the House investigation is underway, Mr. Mira can continue to vote on the floor, file legislation, he can give citations, and he can even keep his congressional office. That is, of course, until the committee, composed of 2 Democrats and 1 Republican, decide his future fate. If you'd like to read more about this particular case of election flipping out of Massachusetts, I'll throw all my research notes down into the description box below this video for you to peruse, which is, of course, that description box right below that like button, which I hope you've already smashed, so this video can be shared out to ever more people, as well as that subscribe button, which I hope you also smash, that we can get this type of honest news content delivered directly into your YouTube feed every time we publish it. And now, a quick word from today's sponsor. All right, the sponsor of today's episode is a phenomenal company called AMAC. That's AMAC, and it stands for the Association of Mature American Citizens. They are quite literally one of the fastest growing conservative organizations in all of America, and you should consider joining for 3 main reasons. The first is the money-saving benefit, because as a member of AMAC, you get access to a ton of discounts at many different verticals. Things like vitamin stores, restaurants, retail shops, and so on and so forth. If you want to check out the full list, it's pretty exhaustive, you can do so over on AMAC's website. The second benefit is that you get exclusive access to the AMAC magazine. It'll be delivered directly to your doorstep, and it contains phenomenal coverage as well as deep analysis. And then the third benefit, the one that people say is their favorite, is that AMAC fights for your values over on Capitol Hill. In fact, you can check out the online version of this on their website. It's the AMAC Action Advocacy Annual Report, and it shows exactly what they're doing on Capitol Hill in terms of fighting what they call the socialist storm that's brewing in this country. So head on over to amac.us/factsmatter and sign up today. I'll also throw a link down in the description box below. And now lastly, I'd like to mention that over on Epoch TV, our awesome no censorship video platform, we just published a phenomenal long-form interview with Dr. Robert Malone, discussing, among other things, the censorship that was lobbied against him, which was recently exposed in the Twitter files, 5th generation warfare, as well as what he referred to as the COVID PSYOP campaign that played out across the entire globe. If you'd like to check out that awesome interview, as well as a plethora of other great content, shows, interviews, documentaries, and movies, well, you can check it out over on Epoch TV. The link will be right there at the very top of the description box. I hope you check it out. And then, until next time, I'm your host, Roman from the Epoch Times. Stay informed, and most importantly, stay free.